We still do not have an answer about the 49ers quarterback situation and who will actually take the first snap, though. The theory, the cliche in sports about it's not how you start, it's how you finish, or it doesn't matter if you start. It matters who's on the court, the field, the ice at the end. Those particular principles may be in effect with the Niners. So we'll get to that with an extensive edition of QB News coming up here momentarily. In advance of football season, although if you really know me, you could probably blow smoke right through this whole thing that I'm about to say, but I'll posture a bit and tell you that in advance of football season, I decided on Sunday to make some chili just because it makes me feel as though the football season routine is it's well-oiled. I'm in mid-season form with my chili. But see, again, if you know me, you know that I pretty much make chili year-round. In fact, Memorial Day weekend in my neighborhood, the temps were in the 40s. Don't ask me why. I have no idea why. Nothing says Memorial Day like chili, right? But I did. I made chili, and I have made it a couple of times during the summer just because it's easy, and it's not a lot of calories, and it's tasty, and it's also filling. Plus, I love sour cream. So anything that I can eat with sour cream makes me happy. But it dawned on me that I just made chili for producer Dave for his last day on the show or last night on the show. And that was only about 10 days ago. So I finished up a pot of chili, washed the pot, and then thought, you know what? Let's make some more chili. But it's the perfect complement to my NFL Sundays. And I'm really excited about the fact that in 2 weeks, we'll be talking about games that count. We also want you to join us on Survivor Island. So you can find that link on our show Twitter, After Hours CBS, or on our Facebook page. So either one, it's pinned to the top of that profile page. So it's very easy to find. I want to tell you which GIF producer James used on Twitter, but it's more fun if you go check it out yourself and do a double take and think, is that who I think it is? Because that's what I had to do. I wasn't sure exactly who it was. I saw it and I thought, yep, that's fill in the blank. And then I thought, no way. Where in the world did he find that from? I'd completely forgotten. Anyway, it's an older GIF, but it's still a goodie. Oldie but a goodie. Speaking of oldie but a goodie, I was sorry to hear about Ed Asner's passing. I know that he had a very long and productive life and career, but he was the perfect old curmudgeon in his later years as an actor. 91 years old. What a rich life and a great legacy. But I was sorry to hear about his passing on Sunday. He was surrounded by family, so that's always a blessing. But yes, if we're talking about oldie but goodie, we've lost many oldies but goodies in the entertainment industry and certainly in sports over the course of the last year plus. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence. We're live from the Rocket Mortgage Studios. Do you need to know what it takes for a home to fit your budget and your family? Rocket can.
Mahomes fires for the end zone. Caught it. Touchdown, Kansas City.
Murray back to throw, and it is. Is it caught? Is it caught? Oh my goodness, it's caught. DeAndre Hopkins caught it.
He's got a man wide open. John Brown, he makes the catch. Touchdown, Buffalo. John Brown from Josh Allen.
Lamar Jackson in the shotgun. Lob to the 5. It is caught. Touchdown, Willie Snead.
Play fake by Russ. Throws deep. Man wide open. It's Lockett. He's in. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Tannehill rolling, throwing.
Touchdown, Titans.
Burrow back to pass. Throws into the end zone.
Yeah.
It's intended for Tyler Boyd. Touchdown. Bengals.
It's time for QB News on After Hours.
2 weeks. 2 weeks, and we will be digesting the bulk of week number 1, and yet we still don't have all of our quarterback questions answered. You may or may not have seen the reports over the weekend that Deshaun Watson could, in fact, be on the move before the season officially kicks off. We know he's been in a state of limbo. There are weeks when he practices with the Texans. There are weeks when he does not, and we don't really have much of an explanation from David Culley other than, hey, he's doing everything that we ask him to do. But Culley has taken the approach that you don't ask, you don't tell when it comes to Deshaun Watson. So here's the report we got over the weekend from Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports, who is an NFL insider that's very connected. He says the Texans are still asking for He called it a king's ransom, meaning multiple first-round picks. In fact, maybe even 3 first-round picks, as well as some other later-round picks to negotiate for Deshaun Watson. And so the Texans are still asking a ton, but Miami has emerged as now a front-runner even before the season kicks off. But the Dolphins weren't the only team. And I don't know the timing on this, but apparently the Panthers, the Broncos, and the Eagles also inquired about Deshaun Watson, which we know. Now, the Eagles went ahead and traded for Gardner Minshew from Jacksonville, and we later found out that Watson's camp had said he would not waive his no-trade clause to go to Philadelphia. So he has veto power. He said, no way, I'm not going to the Eagles. The Broncos, I can't imagine that they would have done this deal unless they were planning on trading away both Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. But talk about jarring to your locker room and your coaches and your offense and everything else. Now, is Watson better than both of the guys they have in Denver? Sure, but the timing to me seems a little odd. However, the Panthers are also reportedly in the mix because they were inquiring too. You had some conflicting reports out there that the Panthers are not pursuing him right now, which could mean that they wait until after some of these lawsuits are settled. So that would leave us with the Miami Dolphins. Of course, following the Dolphins' last preseason game on Sunday, head coach Brian Flores was peppered with questions about maybe trading for Deshaun, even though second-year QB Tua Tagovailoa is their starter.
Reports, speculation, not things we really get into. Look, I understand the question, but as I've said in the past, any conversations that we have or don't have with other clubs are going to be internal. I've been pretty steadfast about that. With our players, with other clubs, and that'll remain the case. I'm very confident in Tua. He's done a lot of good things this spring, this offseason, this training camp. Played well last week. And again, my conversations with the players, are going to always remain between me and that player. So I talk to a lot of players every day. Obviously, I spend a lot of time with the quarterbacks. But yeah, those conversations will remain between myself and that player.
So he's not saying that it's not going to happen. He's only telling us that there's no chance in hell he's going to give us the information. And yes, I'm happy with Tua. But that's very vague on purpose, obviously. So according to Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports, even though the Texans are asking a ton, Miami is still in the running. And that is a place where Watson has indicated that he would waive his no-trade clause to play. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence on CBS Sports Radio. Let's stick in the AFC East, where, of course, the Patriots were below 500 last year, looking up at the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. And Bill Belichick, you want to talk about cryptic and vague. I think sometimes he's just insulted by the questions about his players and about particular positional battles, including quarterbacks. But he's already in midseason form.
Saw a lot of guys competing tonight, competing for playing time, competing for jobs. It's impressive to see on both sides, And kind of like last week, this capped off a real good week for us, with the Giants practices and then tonight. It's a good opportunity to, over that course of that time, really, see everybody.
We're going to head to regular season games. Have you made a decision on who will start at quarterback in the regular season opener?
Yeah, no, we still have a lot of decisions to make.
Now, he had told us during the offseason that Cam Newton is the starter, and Cam did start their preseason finale against the Giants on Sunday, but Mac Jones played decidedly more snaps, which makes sense. So I don't know if he's, again, like Kyle Shanahan, just playing it cryptic. Why would you say, yeah, no, we haven't? Or maybe he just meant, no, we have a lot of decisions to make in general and just was insulted by the question. Either way, that will, of course, fuel the fire about who could start in New England come week number 1. And Mac Jones has gotten a lot of compliments for the way he's played this preseason. Accurate with his throws downfield. He's got an arm. He's smart. He's got great pocket awareness, high football IQ. He played deep into the third quarter on Sunday, and he sounds more and more confident.
I think we came together and just played well towards the end, but it's the preseason. We got a lot of work to do, and it's cool because I know last year a lot of guys obviously didn't get to have that experience as a rookie, and I think it's great regardless of even how you play, just getting a chance to be out there with your team. I learned at a young age, just prepare like the starter. You know, you don't have to be the starter, but prepare, get in your routine, and that's something Coach talked about today was just, hey, we're going to, be in the stadium again, just get in your routine, and that's kind of what I did.
The rookie quarterbacks that we've heard from so far, Trevor Lawrence, of course, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. And yes, Trey Lance was chosen number 3. But these quarterbacks, they're so polished and prepared already. I cannot wait to see them on the field. So New England's still up in the air a little bit. It's after hours, a little bit. It's after hours with Amy Lawrence. No such discussion about the New York Jets, even though we did not see rookie Zach Wilson in their final preseason game. Head coach Robert Saleh said it wasn't for a lack of trying.
He always lobbies. He wants to play. He wants to be out there, and they all lobbied, to be honest with you.
And I know that these guys are anxious to start playing. The Jets, certainly, they're starting from scratch. And so to get him on the field, Joe Burrow wanted to stay on the field after his 3rd snap on Sunday against the Dolphins, but Zach Taylor pulled him out of the game. So yeah, these guys are chomping at the bit. They've been practicing against each other or one other team for so long. They're just ready to get out there and play games that matter. All right, turning our attention to the AFC West, the team to beat, and according to his peers, the top player in the NFL this season, Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, the 2-time defending conference champions. The big question mark around the team is offensive line. That's the only question mark around the team since the Super Bowl, and Mahomes is really pleased with how the new unit looks.
As you kind of gel as an offensive line with the quarterback, with the whole entire offense, when everybody's on the exact same page is when you get those truly great offensive lines and great offenses. And so I think you see as the games are going on, we're communicating better and better, and I think we'll continue to improve throughout the season.
Now, the whole line has been retooled, and what Andy Reid told us is that he felt like Mahomes needed to take more reps, not just for Patrick's sake, because he's coming off surgery in the offseason, but for the sake of the O-line to get used to him. The two parts have to work together in concert.
It's gotten better each and every week. I think they've had an amazing preseason. They haven't got hit a lot. I don't think I really got touched today, and that just speaks to them and how they've been playing. They've done a great job, and they're getting better each and every week, so I'm excited for the season.
I'm excited for the season, too. Thank you, Patrick. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence, CBS Sports Radio. The Chiefs open up with the Cleveland Browns, and I've said to you, it's eerily quiet around Cleveland. Normally, there's so much drama. There's all these distractions. No, it's business. It's normal. That was the word that Mary Kay Cabot used when she joined us last week from the shores of Lake Erie. And honestly, when I hear Baker Mayfield speak, I think, who are you and what have you done with Baker Boy? Because he used to be so flamboyant, and I'm sure he will be on the field. But in terms of having to, doesn't he is the kind of guy who would have to make gestures to the fans and all that jazz. He sounds so, dare I say it, mature, even as he played some in their final preseason game.
Getting game experience is always great. I think for the most part it was smooth. Had one false start by Jedrick, but need to clean that up, and just one misalignment at first. Just little things here and there, but that's in the preseason. It's to be expected somewhat. So we'll clean that up and start heading on to the Chiefs.
He almost sounds bored. Not bored. Boring would be the more accurate word. He almost sounds boring. Baker Mayfield, boring. # boring Baker. Except
real G's move in silence like lasagna.
I woke up feeling dangerous. Where's that Baker Mayfield? No, it's kind of nice. This is how you know that he and the team have turned a corner, where there aren't all of these dramatic storylines to talk about. Where it's just 11 offensive starters returning, the coaching staff is intact, and we're going to build on what we did last year, which of course means getting back into your routine for game day, though Sunday a little bit different because it was a night game.
For an 8 p.m. game, especially, the mental preparation and waiting around the hotel, getting ready to go. You have to get used to that. So that was good for me to, get that under my belt and get the feel of that in the routine again. I was excited. Anytime I get to play football, I get excited.
But he doesn't sound excited, which, again, I think it's a credit to Baker that he's much more even keel. He's not going to get too high. He's not going to get too low. He's going to, of course, bring the fire and intensity, but there's no need to drum up any extra headlines or make gestures to fans or wake up feeling dangerous, or at least tell us about it. All right, moving on to, the team that almost got to the Super Bowl but didn't. The NFC champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, by the way, looked really good. Tom Brady and that offense were locked in their last preseason game. Meanwhile, the Green Bay Packers, they're going to have some work to do, right, to get back to the point at which they could be 13-3 and challenging for supremacy in their conference. Finally, Aaron Rodgers talks about actual football and not about mental health, which is important. But I'm ready to hear him talk about football.
Look, I think we all know what's at stake, and I talked about that a little bit the other day about perspective and how important that perspective is to focus on this season and enjoy the most out of this season, because there are a lot of unknowns. They jumped through some hoops to get on the cap this year. Obviously, the cap is expected to go back up next year, but you never know. So we're just going to enjoy this season. It's title town. It's championship or disappointment just about every year.
So everything he said there, he did wax a little philosophical because he cannot help it these days. It's all about enjoying the moment.
Various ways of breathing related to box breathing.
I don't know if he was box breathing. I still have no idea what that means, nor do I know what churving. That was the word that we had no idea what it meant earlier in the show. So churving and box breathing. And I actually do yoga. Anyway, so he says the money part of that, the money cut is it's title town. It's Super Bowl or bust. We all know what's at stake here, even though we're going to try and enjoy this season. In the NFC North, the Vikings on the outside looking in last year when it came to the playoffs. Kirk Cousins has already missed part of preseason because of COVID protocols, yada, yada, yada. But he is now locked and loaded and ready for the season opener.
It's another short body work at the start of the game, but positive first drive, moving the ball down the field, had some good connections with Irv for some explosive plays, but just couldn't close in the red zone. We talk a lot about third downs in the red zone, so we always want to convert those when we can. We weren't able to get anything going in the other two drives, but now we look forward to Cincinnati and get ready for the real thing. So looking forward to that challenge coming here in a couple weeks.
I am so geeked up, I can't help it. Some of these matchups are a little wonky. It's not as though they're the type of matchups you think, ooh, divisional or first place contenders, yada, yada, yada. Like Browns-Chiefs certainly is. Some of these they're just kind of off-the-wall matchups, and yet Minnesota versus Cincinnati, think about the storylines just in that one particular game, in that particular stadium. San Francisco 49ers still have not made any type of an announcement. Kyle Shanahan, he's not sure he's going to survive this season because the media just will not leave the poor man alone. But this is what happens when you platoon your two quarterbacks, your veteran and your rookie, and you literally split their snaps down the middle, run them on and off the field on your opening series. So let's have it, Kyle Shanahan. What's going on with the QBs?
By no means was it perfect, but I thought just the function of it and going in and out and not knowing when it's going to be, it wasn't a planned rotation or anything. I was trying to make it situational, so I was just doing it mainly off impulse and, whenever the down and distance, it felt like what we wanted to call. So those guys seemed like they handled it good. I'll meet with them tomorrow and watch all with them, which I'm looking forward to. But today I thought it was good. Guess we'll have to see. I don't like playing this game, but everyone keeps asking me that question. I'm not just giving the answer just to satisfy the question. I think we got a pretty good idea, like I've said all along. I think our team does, and we're pretty good with it as long as I can keep surviving press conferences.
Please make me roll my eyes. It's part of why you get paid millions of dollars to survive press conferences. He's on life support. The press conferences are too much. The pressure's getting to him. Stop it. For what it's worth, my money's on the veteran, but I don't know how many snaps Jimmy Garoppolo will take. I just believe he will be the starter. But Kyle Shanahan operates on a need-to-know basis, and clearly he does not think that we need to know. By the way, for those of you highly anticipating the start of the Dan Campbell era in Detroit, the Lions will host the San Francisco 49ers. Come hell or high water, come veteran quarterback or rookie, it is the Lions hosting the Niners in week number 1, which comes up not even 2 weeks from now. What? Well, that was fun. Man, there's so many question marks still about the quarterback position, and those are not the only ones. Also, another devastating injury blow for the Baltimore Ravens to a part of their football team that we know they put front and center. Also, a trade that the New York Jets made to try to fill a void that was left by an injury they suffered a couple weeks ago, a very painful one. So we'll update you on some of the other storylines around football. Also love to take your calls. 855-212-4227. That's 855-212-4CBS. On Twitter, A-Law Radio, or on our Facebook page. Make sure you join us on Survivor Island. That is our version of the Survivor pool for the NFL season, and the link is now live and enticing.
You are listening to the After Hours Podcast.
Let me tell you a story of my situation. I was talking to this girl from the U.S. nation.
Here on After Hours, we like you as much as you like us.
Hey, Law, yes. I got to be honest with you.
Uh-oh.
When you took over, people had a lot of bad stuff to say. You're fantastic. I couldn't be happier. Keep doing what you're doing, and I love you.
Oh, well, I love you too, Eddie, because that was quite a tribute.
Good morning, Amy. First-time caller, and just very excited to talk to you. I've never actually called a radio station.
Well, I like to be the first time. Thank you so much, Ray. That's awesome.
And I want to say hello to my beautiful wife, Jennifer Daniel.
Oh, knock it off. Don't use my show to kiss up to your wife. You got what I need. Don't you say he's just a friend.
This is After Hours with Amy Lawrence.
Baby, you got what I need. You can't not sing it. It's my tribute to Biz Markie, who also passed away earlier this year. But yeah, it's one of those songs that you're not supposed to sing on tune. He doesn't sing it on tune, or on key, I should say, in tune. And you have to do it in a car full of people as well, because then everybody can sing their own key and their own tune, and it sounds perfect. So I would say sorry, but I'm not really sorry. So yeah. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence on CBS Sports Radio. 855-212-4227. That's our toll-free line. I want to make sure that I let you know it's been confirmed for the Baltimore Ravens that their running back, J.K. Dobbins, has suffered a season-ending torn ACL, which just sucks for the Ravens, certainly sucks for J.K. He was injured during the opening drive of their game, their preseason game against Washington. So score doesn't matter. Really, nothing matters except the fact that they lost this guy. And he was a second-round pick from last season. And so this was supposed to be his first campaign as their star running back with Lamar Jackson. Of course, Lamar is a quarterback, but we know he excels at running. So Dobbins had the MRI confirmed. He's supposed to be meeting with some other doctors, getting some second opinions on the right way to treat. But generally, you wait for the swelling to go down, and then you turn to the surgery and start your rehab as quickly as possible. So without JK, again, fresh legs, it was going to be his starting spot. The top two running backs for the Ravens are Gus Edwards and Tyson Williams. Now, Edwards has got some good running in him, too. And last year, actually, going back the last few seasons, he's had one of the highest yards per carry among running backs. It's just that he doesn't get as much work. So are they going to be content now to put more of the load on his shoulders and turn him into a feature back? You do have this undrafted running back out of BYU as well, and the Ravens like him. And so you've got some other options, but here's what I think and what I wonder is how much of this will fall on the shoulders of Lamar Jackson. So when there are opportunities to run, how much more will he be on the move with the football since they don't have JK? Or will they try to trade for someone else? I mean, there certainly are some veterans out there that could be waiting for an opportunity here and a call. But we're talking about trading down, and I don't even mean because these other older running backs are are not the same caliber or the same quality. It's not about talent or skill. It's just about the amount of mileage that you put on a running back's body. Eventually you get to the point at which the returns, it's a diminishing point of returns, where to run an older back out there, you're not going to get the same the same effort, just because there's not the same explosiveness and you can't ride an older running back quite as much. And so there are some names out there. Certainly are some guys that could be looking for deals, but JK is young and had, so much to look forward to this season. And so that's a huge blow. The Jets can certainly empathize. They went through the loss of their top free agent and their top pass rusher. Remember, they lost defensive end Carl Lawson to a ruptured Achilles. Was it last week or the week before? And he was their top free agent signed from Cincinnati. And now they've picked up Shaq Lawson in a trade with the Houston Texans. The Texans don't really care who's on their roster this season. They're all about just trying to get through the season without any disasters of epic proportions, and then David Culley, if he's the long-term solution, and their general manager, the front office, just putting pieces in place that they feel like they can move forward. But this year is a crapshoot, and it's probably going to be more crap than shoot. So they trade away Shaq Lawson, and now he's with the Jets, and we'll see how much this does to fill that void left by Carl Lawson. But it's better than not having anyone there, but still that injury. And then the whole Vinny Curry situation too, out for the season with a blood disorder. Just a lot of challenges there already for Robert Saleh on the defensive side of the ball, which is of course his wheelhouse, at least in coaching. 855-212-4227. We're going to get to your calls. If you want to weigh in on my message to Javi Baez, which is you cannot win this war with the Mets fans, you can certainly do that. I actually have to write my CBS Sports Minute. Well, one of Boomer Esiason, who's out this week. And that's how I'm starting. Javi Baez, this is a battle you cannot win. I think it will blow over more than likely. Luis Rojas and the front office will squash that, and there will be no thumbs down, which really is their version of flipping the fans the bird. But for now, it's all the rage, and you will hear a lot of talk about it, not just in the New York area, but across the country on Monday, no doubt. So I'm going to compose my letter to Javi Baez, but if you have something to say, you can also weigh in. Again, 855-212-4227. Join us on Survivor Island if you want to play along with us, and I could try to talk some smack about how long I'll be on Survivor Island and how you'll be matching wits and picks with me, and you can't outlast the crew, except I usually can't even get off. I'm usually kicked off the island by week number 1. I can't even get through the first month. So you can match wits with producer James. We'll see how he is at Survivor Island.
You are listening to the After Hours Podcast.
We're not machines. We're gonna struggle. We're gonna struggle 7 times out of 10, and it just feels bad when we strike out. When I strike out and I get booed, it doesn't really get to me. But I want to let them know that when we success, we're gonna do the same thing to know how to let them know how it feels.
You're listening to After Hours with Amy Lawrence. Call Amy at 855-212-4CBS.
It doesn't work like that, Javi Baez. It doesn't work like that. First of all, you've been with the Mets for, 5 minutes? I mean, seriously, how long have you been with the Mets? Since the trade deadline, right? And you weren't their first choice. Maybe that gets to you. And I love how he says, well, you only are going to be successful, or you're going to lose 7 times out of 10. You're only going to be successful 3 times out of 10. But the problem is they're not even successful that much right now. They've lost 20 of their last 29 games. So how about don't strike out at such a high alarming rate? Put a win streak together, and that means more than these last 2 games that they've won. Okay, great, against the Nationals. How about do it against a contending team? But also, you are gesturing, essentially returning the boos back to a fan base of New York Mets faithful that have followed this team through thick and thin. In most cases, no one bandwagon jumps to the New York Mets. No, these are fans who have stuck with the team for the most part through thick and thin. These are not fair weather fans. Some of them have been fans longer than you've been on this earth. And after a month, you come in and you decide you don't like how they're booing when you have fallen not just from the top of the NL East, but below 500? Faster than you can blink your eye. The Mets have gone from being first place to being out of the wild card race with very little prospects. And somehow they're supposed to be happy with that. I don't love booing. It's not my favorite thing, but it's better than throwing crap on the field. Number one. Number two, you can't win this war, Javi Baez. You know what? It's so simple, and yet it's lost on a lot of athletes. If you don't want to get booed, then how about you play better?
It just feels bad when I strike out and I get booed.
Sure it does. It feels bad for them too. They don't want you to strike out. They would much rather be cheering a walk-off hit here or there. But man, let's be honest. These fans have been through a lot this season. They've seen most of their starting lineup hit IR or IL or DL or DR or whatever it's called nowadays in baseball. I mean, they've been through a lot. They're just asking for a timely hit here and there. They're just asking for you not to leave the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth inning and to waste opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Now, when you're gesturing with the thumbs down, what you're really doing is flipping the fans the bird. It's a different digit and it's going the other direction, but you're saying the same exact thing. Not only are they louder than you, not only are they more emotional than you, I wouldn't say they're more passionate than you about the game, but I would say they've got a lot more invested than you do. And even Luis Rojas says he just needs to get used to New York. Yeah, how about you play better? And then there's no booing. Problem solved. That was easy. Or accept the fact that if you feed the trolls, they're only going to boo you louder. Ooh, can you imagine what the booing is going to be like? I need to check their schedule because I don't actually know where they go from here. But let me look at the New York Mets schedule. Javi Baez has had enough after 1 month. Can you imagine what it would be like after a year or 2 years? Again, ask the fans what it's like to go through this year after year after year. Let's see. Coming up, they've got the Marlins. Well, see, they could actually beat the Marlins too. They might have 3 consecutive wins. Just take it from me. Take it from me as someone who deals with trolls and essential virtual booing on a regular basis. It's a war you can't win. You might as well give it up now. Make up with the fans and go back to trying not to strike out in critical situations. 855-212-4227. That's 855-212-4CBS. It doesn't make it any better. It actually adds insult to injury that the Yankees just went through a 13-game win streak. And the Mets, while the Yankees are challenging to get back into first place in the AL East and have put the pressure on the Rays and the rest of the wild card teams, here are the Mets who have just bottomed out. And fans are tired of it, and they should be. They should be tired of it. I'd be tired of it, too. Steve is listening in Secaucus, New Jersey. Welcome to After Hours.
Good morning, Amy Lawrence. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Platooning's not going to work in the NFL. And one of the you're probably a little bit too young to have seen this guy on the field, but Tom Landry, to me, was one of the best head coaches in that played in the NFL. And he platooned. He tried it with Roger Staubach and Craig Morton. Both very, very good quarterbacks. I mean, they were just great. But you know what? I mean, the fabric of the offensive line, the schemes, it gets to be confusing. And just the whole aura of the thing, it's just not going to work. And he was the one that tried it a couple of times. And then
aura. I like it. I don't think anyone's used the word aura around quarterbacks in the last 24 hours.
But that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's a strategy in the NFL that any coach is really going to use seriously or consider seriously. But if you think about some of the other models, we certainly have seen the Drew Brees era end with them running Taysom Hill on and off the field and using his skills in places where maybe the athleticism of Drew Brees or his arm strength were lacking late in the year. So I do know that Trey Lance has a lot of athleticism and that there's a lot of things they like about him. Otherwise, they wouldn't have drafted him. And so, according to Kyle Shanahan, on Sunday, he was going purely instinctual, purely situational. It was more about impulse. Although when I hear the word impulse, I think impulse shopping. He was doing more based on just what he was seeing from the defense. And so I don't know that it's going to be as drastic as it was. I agree with you. I don't think you can constantly run your quarterbacks on and off the field like they're doing wind sprints and expect that the offense will stay consistent, but I do suspect that we're going to see Trey Lance in some situational type of snaps simply because he does have a great athleticism and skill set that obviously Shanahan is enamored of.
Yes. No, I absolutely agree with you. And you mentioned the quarterback on the Saints, and, when he was getting tired and whatnot, you're not necessarily platooning someone, but, putting someone else in there. That's just a completely different scheme.
Right. You're right.
But to work two guys, and eventually Craig Morton got traded over to Denver, the Broncos, and he took them to the Super Bowl. But that was a very good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Roger Staubach I'd take any time of the year. Navy guy like myself too, which was great. But it won't work. It gets very confusing.
Yeah, I agree. Now, it does also offer some confusion to the defense, but you're right. I think it does more damage than it does help when you're talking about your offense.
Yes. Well, listen, thanks for taking my call. I really appreciate it. You got a great show.
Oh, thank you, Steve. And thank you for your service, too, when you're in the Navy. I appreciate that.
You're quite welcome. Thank you. Okay.
Let's talk to Alan, who's in New Rochelle, also New York, if I am correct. Alan, thanks so much for waiting. Welcome to After Hours.
Thank you. This is the second time I've called. A couple of weeks ago, we had a discussion about something happening in the seventh inning, how it affected the eighth. But tonight, or this morning rather, I'd like to discuss the Loizaga removal from today's game at Oakland and putting Chad Green in the eighth. Why it's automatically presumed by Aaron Boone that a certain pitcher is going to pitch a certain inning regardless of circumstances. Maybe you could help me with that.
Honestly, can I tell you the truth? How I feel about Aaron Boone and the Yankees bullpen is that these days, no matter what you try, it's bound to blow up in your face. It's almost like a 50-50. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and always in hindsight, we have much clearer vision about it. Loizaga had pitched that great inning. He'd had the one hit, but also had the strikeout and only needed 22 pitches. So I don't know other than to tell you that when you look back in it and Chad Green's given up 2 runs, well, yeah, it's a mess and it's frustrating. But I honestly think it's more piecemeal with Aaron Boone in that bullpen. It seems like the guys are really streaky. Some days they're great. Sometimes they're not. Aroldis Chapman's another great example of that. So I don't know that there's any one of those guys that you can really be super confident in. Maybe you just have to go game at a time, but I feel like he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't.
Well, let me just share this with you and your audience. You don't have to put yourself or the bullpen in that position. When a relief pitcher pitches the seventh, and the last pitch that Loizaga threw was one of the nastiest sliders you'll ever see to end the inning, and they're off tomorrow, which would be Monday, or today is Monday, there's no reason to put Chad Green in that position.
Yeah, again, I think it does. Again, I think the hindsight is 20/20, and you're right. It's easy to judge after the fact and say, hey, that was a really bad move, and probably Aaron Boone is second-guessing himself too. I do wish starters could go deeper, and so that you wouldn't have to worry about the situational pulling guys out of the bullpen. Let's not forget how much Aaron Boone and the Yankees do rely on analytics as well, and so that's a part of it. But I kind of feel like at this point in the season, it's all guesswork. There really is no tried and true formula for that bullpen, which is why they need their guys to go deeper so they're not relying on that bullpen or get more hits so then the game is not close in the late stages. Alan, I appreciate your phone call. You can call anytime. I have to let you go because we're at the top of the hour here, but thank you. 855-212-4227. Yes, the Yankees rattled off 13 consecutive wins, and along the road in the last 6 weeks, they erased a 10.5 game deficit to the Boston Red Sox in the AL East. Now, they're still trailing the Tampa Bay Rays, who've continued with their torrid pace. They've won 7 in a row, and of course, 9 of their last 10, and they've stayed out in front of the Yankees. And just by virtue of the back-to-back losses against Oakland over the weekend, the Yankees have dropped back to 6 games behind the Rays, those still firmly on top of the wild card standings over the Red Sox by +2. We're so glad to have you with us. Thanks for hanging out. You can always find us on Twitter, A-Law Radio, or on our Facebook page, and you can join us on Survivor Island in advance of football season. It's After Hours, CBS Sports Radio.